Welcome to the No Dunks podcast presented by FanDuel. It's Thursday, November 13th, 2025. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, or over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD. Hello. There he is.
Oh, hello. There we go. Hello.
Just the two of us today.
Just the two of us.
That's right. Later on, we're going to discuss some of last night's big games, big performances. But first, we do have a special guest joining us. Oren Weisfeld is a writer based in Toronto, Canada, and he covers Canadian hoops, and he's got his debut book out, The Golden Generation, How Canada Became a Basketball Powerhouse. It's out now. Go buy it. Link in the show notes. I really enjoyed this book. Oren, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Get some more CanCon onto the show. I know is always a priority for you guys. So yeah, I've been following the show ever since the starters days, and it's really cool to be here. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Congratulations on the new book. This is the untold story, I guess, of Canada men's basketball from Steve Nash's breakthrough at the Sydney Olympics in 2000 to then, unfortunately, decades of sort of struggle and some controversy and missed opportunity, but they're back now. I first want to ask you, when did you start formulating the idea for this Golden Generation book?
Yeah, so I started covering the Raptors in about 2018, mostly for a blog called Raptors Republic, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
It's produced a lot of great people in the industry. And I kind of started going to games and seeing more and more Canadians in the league each and every season, more all-stars, more guys playing themselves into those conversations. I really wanted to learn we Canadians in the league at any given time. And all of a sudden there was, 10, 20, and 25 to start this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to learn why that huge spike, why it all of a sudden happened. And at the same time, I wanted to kind of square that with what was happening with the national team. I went to Victoria, BC in 2021, which was when they lost to the Czech Republic in that Olympic qualifying tournament. And I kept up with their struggles, and I wanted to know how come Canada was having so much success at the grassroots level, but at the same time the national team was struggling so much. And that's kind of how the idea for the book came to be. And when Canada beat Spain and qualified for the Olympics for the first time in 24 years, that's when I kind of knew I had a book.
Yeah, it's a great idea because I remember, and I've said this before on the show, I was in Australia during the 2000 Olympics. I wasn't in Sydney, but I was there. And when Canada, led by Steve Nash, was making some noise, winning some games, obviously I was pumped. And it felt like, here we go. Canada basketball is on the rise. And then it is wild that it took, 24 years for them to get back to the international biggest stage, right? And this is what this book is exploring, sort of what went wrong over 2 decades when it looked like they were there or on the precipice of being there.
Yeah, exactly. And the name of the book, The Golden Generation, it also refers to, obviously it's referring to the generation of Canadians in the NBA today, the best we've ever had, but it's also referring to I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2000, they called that team the Golden Generation. Mm-hmm. So people have been so desperate for this golden age of Canadian hoops dating back, 3 decades now, that name has been repeated each generation again and again. And I found it kind of funny, and I kind of found that it showed the desperation that the country had for so long. But I also, wanted to explain in this book how each generation built off the next to get to where we are today.
So for those that don't know, who did you talk to for this book? And then the second follow-up to that is, was there a favorite player or person that you got to do an interview and sit down with about this book?
Yeah, so I talked to, it took almost 2 years. I talked to about 100 people, of a bunch from that 2000 team dating all the way up to this 2024 Olympic squad. I spoke to 10 of the 12 members of that team. So I tried to get a good segment of the population between, Team Canada players and coaches, and also people at the grassroots level who have kind of been building this thing up. In terms of a favorite interview, there was a lot, but I would say Steve Nash sticks out because took a while to get him, and he was one of my very last interviews. And I think he really helped bring that kind of section of the book together, obviously. And, I wanted to ask him a lot of questions that people have been wondering and that there was always rumors about, but that you couldn't kind of hammer down. And that was part of the idea for the whole book, was to be able to ask these athletes, like specifically, how come you stopped playing for the national team? For a guy like Steve Nash, like how come after 2003 that was really it for him? And he explained to me that getting to the Olympics was really his goal, and after that he wanted to focus on his NBA career and see what he could do there, and obviously he made the most of it. So yeah, that's an interview that for sure I'll remember.
You also talked about racism in Canada basketball, in the organization, mainly, I guess, in the 80s and into the 90s. How much did you know about that beforehand, before you started researching and writing this book? Because to me, I was naive. I didn't know any of this. So it was really enlightening. And I think it does explain maybe why there was these like down years, because they weren't having the best talent play for this squad.
Yeah, and I'll answer the question, but even like the down years going into the 2000s, and we ask about guys like Andrew Wiggins and guys Jamal McGlure, who didn't play as much as maybe we would have liked. And people fail to realize how history really plays a role in that, how these people's parents and uncles and all that grew up when the national team was looked at, to be frank, as a joke. Like people didn't respect the way that they were doing things, and race was a part of it. Resources were also a part of it. Lack of performance staff, not treating the players right in so many ways. But yeah, in the 80s and 90s, there was only a handful of black players to ever play on the teams that went to represent Canada internationally at an Olympics or a World Championship. And players felt that there was racial bias in the selection process. And I detail exactly what happened in the book, but suffice to say, I talked to like 50 and 20 players who felt like that was the case, who felt like they weren't getting a fair chance. And this isn't like a case of one player having, sour grapes because he didn't make the team, right? It's a systemic issue of many, many players feeling like the coaches, the executives at Canada Basketball didn't understand how the kind of nexus of power was shifting from the west coast of Canada to the east coast of Canada, to immigrants primarily from the West Indies who moved to Toronto and Montreal and Halifax, and who played a style that just the national team didn't want to fit into its style.
Right.
And so that's where those problems really stemmed from. To answer your question, I knew nothing about it. Even when I pitched the book, yeah, it's crazy. Even when I pitched the book and got it accepted and everything, wasn't a part of the plan. But when I started doing research, I started to come upon it, and then I started to talk to the players. But unfortunately, the Canadian media did the readers, a lack of justice there. There was really not a lot of literature from the time about these issues, and for whatever reason, people didn't cover it.
Yeah. Was there a player or a story or a chapter that didn't make the final cut for this book that you wished maybe had, or you'd planned on it, but it just didn't fit in the end?
Yeah, I did a chapter on Quebec that I really would have liked to get in there, because as you know, like Quebec is having this boom similar to what Ontario had maybe 10 years ago. And right now we have a new player in the NBA from Montreal, Jamil Telfort, who's playing on the Clippers. But then there's Ben Mathurin, there's Omax Prosper, there's another one, there's Chris Boucher, right? So all of a sudden, Quebec started producing all these NBA players, and I wanted to explain their story. It's super interesting. It has this race component, and it also has this language component, which it makes it super complicated and whatnot. And I didn't end up fitting it into the story because it didn't really fit the narrative of like the national team, in part because Quebec players haven't been well represented there. So it got cut. I am writing a story now for Maison Neuve magazine about using those same interviews because I wanted to share that story. But yeah, that was a big one that was hard to cut.
Yeah. One guy, I guess, with Montreal ties, or Quebec ties, I should say, Haitian-Canadian Samuel D'Alembert. There's a small part in this book. Can you please share for the listener and viewer here what happened, I guess, between D'Alembert and I guess it was Jay Triano, the head coach. Or excuse me, Leo Routens, the head coach at the time, yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of the funniest stories of the book. I appreciated Leo for his honesty during the time that I interviewed him. And yeah, I mean, so what happened was in the 2000s, Canada Basketball and Leo Routens, who was running the program, they were desperate for talent because Jamal McGlure wasn't playing and Steve Nash wasn't playing, and those were our two Canadians in the league. So Canada Basketball went out and they helped Samuel Dalembert get his Canadian citizenship because he grew up in Montreal. He was born in Haiti, but he grew up in Montreal. And what happened was he joined the team, and in his first tournament, I think 2007, he played really well. He led them in like points, rebounds, and like field goal percentage. And having an NBA center, it really helps the national team. So he was great, and he had some weird moments where he was away from the team, but they didn't really care because they were winning. And so they get to this qualifying tournament in Athens, Greece, in 2008, which kind of was like the big get for Leo Routens when he got hired in 2005. Everyone expected them to get to the Olympics in 2008. And at this tournament, Dalembert just kind of started being a recluse. He started hanging out with his friends. He started showing up to practices and film sessions late and falling asleep during them because he had went out the night before. And all this stuff started happening. And so Leo kind of confronts him about it on the bus. Mm-hmm. And he's like talking to him about it. And Dalembert, they start going at each other, and Dalembert says something to the like of like, you guys need me, and then Leo says, let me tell you straight, there's not a single game we haven't won or we've won that we wouldn't have been able to win without you. And basically after that, he told him to get off the bus, go get his stuff, and get out of there. And in the middle of this tournament, Canada had cut their starting center, and they went and they had to play Korea that same day. And they somehow come from behind and they beat Korea, but then a couple of days later they lose to, I think, Croatia, and they get sent home. So that was the state of the national team at that time.
Yeah, man, it is like this. You almost like feel bad for like the Leo Routens or the people running Canada basketball back in the day, because like you want to appease these NBA guys or your superstar players to some extent because you want the talent, you want to have a chance, you want to make these big international tournaments. But then there's this other flip side of like, come on, we're all in this together. You're making yourself bigger than the other guys in the program. It's like, oh man, I didn't envy maybe some of those coaches and people in charge in those sort of dark days, if you want to call them that.
Yeah, Leo definitely had a really difficult time, and so did Jay Triano when he took back over the team in 2011. And a lot of the decisions they made sounded right at the time, and they may have been right at the time, honestly, getting that NBA talent, getting it at no matter what the cost was, creating double standards for NBA guys to kind of come whenever they wanted and have whatever hotel rooms or flights they might have wanted. But when you look at the history, I think those decisions ended up really backfiring. Right. And they really end up hurting the national team in the long run by setting these kind of dangerous precedents where NBA players specifically looked at the national team as this thing that they could kind of show up whenever they saw fit.
You did already allude to this, but the lack of funding for Canada basketball was a tough hurdle to get over for many years too. Lackluster amenities or travel or food or even support staff, all of these things. What do you think helped get Canada basketball sort of over that and a little more money coming in? Was it, quite frankly, Steve Nash getting involved and picking up phones and trying to get sponsors, or was there other things?
Yeah, so I did explain how that was the big one when Steve Nash came to the program as a general manager in 2012, still playing on the Lakers at the time. He really helped back this kind of fundraising that they did just by getting on the phones with, Canadian millionaires and explaining why this money would be useful. When Steve Nash gets on the phone with you, I think it helps open up those wallets a little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing, and this is more relevant in the recent decade, is corporate Canada. For so long, corporate Canada was reluctant to fund basketball because hockey, it was this safe thing. It kind of resembled Canadian values and identity. And they didn't have the imagination, in my opinion, to see how basketball could do similar things, could unite Canadians, could unite specifically new Canadians, immigrants who saw basketball as a more welcoming sport than hockey. Only in the last 5-10 years, I think, has corporate Canada kind of seen the potential that sports like soccer and basketball can have and opened up their wallets in that regard too, to fund, to create these partnerships with the national team to start giving them some money as well.
A lot of these chapters sort of focus on one player or maybe one area of the country. So, there's a Dylan Brooks chapter, for example, and, you get SGA gets his own thing and stuff like that. This all makes sense. But one of the biggest takeaways for me in reading a lot of like the player specific sort of chapters is like how important the support of really their parents usually and people in the grassroots like basketball world had on all these kids like making it to the NBA and then making it ultimately to play for Team Canada. Is that fair to say? Just like you have so many interviews with all these things these parents did, the money and resources they put in and time to like make sure their kid was getting the best sort of basketball education they could get. And usually a lot of the times it was leaving Canada, right?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that. Like, I think to me, if I had to sum up the story of this generation, it's their parents or the people of their parents' generation, which is the 2000 Olympic team, Rowan Barrett, Sherman Hamilton, Steve Nash. I mean, let's exclude Steve Nash. But these people, they started playing basketball at a relatively late age, maybe in high school, didn't take it too seriously until college. And then they tried to get to the NBA, but in most cases, they were a bit too late.
Right.
And they went and they played overseas, or they went and they played in the NCAA. And what they did was they brought this knowledge back to them. And they started coaching, they started working as executives, or they became parents. And they gave this knowledge and this experience that they had accumulated as really the first generation of Canadians to play basketball. They gave it to their kids. And that's what we're seeing in this generation. These kids came up with that knowledge, that understanding, that infrastructure that was building in Canada to start playing at younger ages and to gain those skills and to have competitive games. And parents were definitely the biggest kind of people in that. And if you look at our Canadians in the NBA today, an alarming amount of them have parents who were professional athletes. A lot of them were ballers, but a lot of them were like sprinters in the case of RJ and Shea and all these things. So yeah, it definitely is a big part of it.
So looking ahead here to sort of the next chapter for senior men's national team, I guess they start World Cup qualifiers pretty soon, right? In Toronto, I think in December.
December 1st,
yeah. So that's going to be like, you get all these windows over like a 15-month period across the 4 FIBA regions for the qualifying. Looking at the team, now maybe not for that specific qualifying team, but when you looked at the Paris team, and I can list it for everyone here, and I'll basically just do it in alphabetical order, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Kem Birch, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Melvin Ejim, SGA, Trey Lyles, Jamal Murray, Andrew Nembhard, Kelly Olynyk, and Dwight Powell. That's 11 of the 12 that are NBA players. I want you to project here. How many of those guys are back when we're talking the next Olympic window? What other guys would you think be in the mix or you'd like to see in the mix? Who do you got?
Sorry about that. I just cut out for a second, so I missed most of your question. If you could just do that.
Basically, of the team that we just had at the Paris Olympics, how many do you project will be back, and maybe what other new guys should we look to be in the mix? Like Zach Edey, I guess, is one that comes up because of his size.
Zach Edey's an obvious one. I think Keyshawn George, what he's doing in Washington. My friend Lee Ben and I just went through this exercise for his podcast, The Canadian Basketball Show, and we kind of did our 12 dream team players for 2028. We both had Keyshawn George starting at the 4. So goes to show what we think of him. Also goes to show the lack of players we have at that position, I think. And historically, Canada's been playing small with Dylan Brooks at the 4. But I think Keyshawn could be that kind of missing piece. And other than that, I mentioned guys like Brandon Clark. If he gets healthy, he could be a big player for us. Benedict Mathurin, I think, could definitely be a big piece on that team.
There's going to be tough decisions here is what we're getting at. Because there's so much NBA talent now that whoever has to make this roster, you're cutting a good 10 NBA players at this point.
I mean, Shaedon Sharp didn't make my team, my 12-man team, and he might, but I'm just saying it goes to show like there's going to be really tough decisions to be made. I think there were about like 7 players that we kept, Shea, Andrew Nembhard, RJ Barrett, Nickeil, Jamal Murray, if he returns to play, I think could be really big in a situation where he's a little bit more healthy.
Dylan Brooks, I assume.
Right, Dylan Brooks. But the big man rotation
Yeah.
was almost completely changed because guys like Kelly Olynyk and Dwight Powell, Ken Birch, they're getting older, and 3 years from now, they might not have what it takes to make that team.
I look forward to that. And I guess it's a good problem to have for sure that you have like too much talent. One other thing I heard you talk about on the Hello and Welcome podcast with our guys was how Jay Triano was friends with Terry Fox. It like blew my mind. They were like, what, grew up together?
Not exactly. It's crazy, but like when Jay Triano went to SFU because he saw there was members of the Canadian men's basketball team at that school. So he went there to play basketball, and all of a sudden the team manager was Terry Fox.
Oh.
And that was when he first got there. A few weeks into it was when Terry Fox lost his leg. And so he obviously left that position as manager, and he started training very, very quickly to run across the country. But they developed a friendship. And for Jay, you know, seeing how Terry Fox was training, seeing him wheel his wheelchair up the mountain there, and when Jay would be on the bus, for example, just like drove him to play harder, to be in the gym more, and all. And they did like work out together a lot as well. So super interesting CanCon there for sure.
Yeah, that's super CanCon for everyone out there. Before we let you go, let's get your take on the Raptors. Early start to the season. You know, had an awesome opening night here in Atlanta. I was there, repping my Raps jersey, feeling good as they punked the Hawks. Then they hit a rough patch. Nobody could stop anybody. They gave up a lot of points, but they've turned it around here. What's your take right now on the Raptors, basically 10 or 11 games in?
I think they're a serious team for the first time in about 4 years, which is to say that they're going to beat up on the dregs of the league because they finally have their stuff together, right? They play a base level of defense. They move the ball really well. They have a lot of offensive talent. I think there's a few things they have to do to take that next step into actually getting towards the top of the East and whatnot. But it's exciting for Raptors fans just to be kind of this 500 team. And I think that's kind of where they're going to level out. But it's exciting because there's a lot of talent on the team. They're pretty fun to watch because of how they move the ball on offense. And Brandon Ingram has obviously been a really fun storyline for Raptors fans who have been offensively starved for many, many years to watch. And I'm enjoying it so far.
It's definitely more enjoyable. RJ Barrett, obviously being Canadian, his name was in a lot of trade rumors, or a lot of people say, now that you got Ingram and you got Scotty, maybe Barrett gets squeezed. But does it make it more difficult, him being Canadian and love being Canadian and love playing for the Toronto Raptors, to move someone like that?
Maybe a little bit. Like, I remember Masai Ujiri a couple years ago when he made all the trades saying how, you know, they wanted people in the building who wanted to be there. And the OG trade specifically was OG, a guy who maybe had wanted a different role, hadn't been so happy on the Raptors, for RJ Barrett, who obviously really embraces that, being the kind of first Canadian to really be a star, a player, one of the best players on the Raptors in history. So I think it's a really fun storyline for the fans right now. I think it does make it a little harder to trade him, but the real thing that makes it harder to trade him is just the fact that he's been performing at a really high level and not having really run plays for him, but just kind of picking up the scraps and finding ways to be effective. And I think each season with RJ, you know, it's clearly he just keeps getting better.
And finally, before I let you go, got to get your opinion on the forthcoming USA versus the world all-star game format here. We got some more details recently. You're rolling your eyes. You're shaking your head. Not a fan of this idea?
I actually am a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the fact that they change the all-star game every year. I'm not a fan of the fact that, like, this should have been what they did a few years ago at the latest last year. Whatever happened last year is like the biggest joke in sports. They went to like I don't even remember what they did. It was so bad. But as soon as like Shams announced it, I was like, this is the worst idea I've ever heard. Just do USA versus the world. So right. I'm glad they're finally doing it. And I mean, it doesn't really matter if the guys don't play hard. So we'll see.
I was going to say, do you think maybe, though, this is the next step? If this goes better than it has in past, maybe we get like the full-on Team Canada into the mix. So then we have USA, we got maybe Canada, maybe like Europe. Maybe we get
I was about to say, if we get that, guys will go hard. Like if it's Canada, former Yugoslavia,
Okay.
like Europe, then 100% players will go really hard. The world, I'm not quite sure. I hope so. I'm definitely hope so. But yeah, I'm a little pessimistic until we really get that nationalistic fervor going. Then the players will go hard.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, Oren, congrats again on the book. Everybody go get it. Makes a great Christmas gift, a great holiday gift. The Golden Generation: How Canada Became a Basketball Powerhouse. And listen, we obviously have a lot of international viewers and listeners and Americans. Like, you don't got to be Canadian, okay, to read this. You're going to learn a lot, and it's sort of cool, all the guys that have, like, come up recently and are, like, flourishing now in the NBA, and you learn a lot more. Like, we didn't get into even, like, the whole Wiggins sort of chapter about him. I thought that was eye-opening. Yeah. You're learning more of, like, his MO and sort of expectations that people had for him as this high flyer and this super athlete. Come on, scream at people, dunk on people, but that's, like, not him. Anyway, it's an awesome book. Congrats again.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think people of any international basketball scene will get something out of it, because it mirrors, I think, what's happening in a lot of countries. Also with some of the struggles that people are having right now in terms of developing players and prep schools popping up and all this kind of nefarious stuff as well. So appreciate you having me, and like you said, it makes for a good holiday gift, and appreciate everyone's support.
I will say Trey Kirby took offense to you calling it the Golden Generation. He's like, what golds do you have?
Many people have. Many people have.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
All right, Oren, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, take care.
All right, later. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll get into last night's games. The NBA season's a grind. Games every night, schedule's packed. Now the All-Star game is 4 games instead of 1. You're killing us, Silver. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's why I'm fired up about the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. Peloton IQ plans your workouts, tracks your progress, even corrects your form. And with the swivel screen, you can go from a ride on the Bike Plus to a quick yoga stretch in seconds. Just swivel that thing. You're on the bike, now you're on the ground. Then you go on the ground, now you're on the bike. Just swivel, 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 swivel. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Check out the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
FanDuel is your home for live betting.
There it is.
Had to get that lower third up there. Skeets, we're big Survivor fans over here, and we love to say it's a great time to get in no matter where we are in the season. Same thing with FanDuel. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next fourth quarter comebacks to who will win the next immunity challenge. No, not that last one. There's no betting in Survivor yet. You'd be a fool to bet in Survivor, let's be honest. It happened a year ago. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join, because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, we have successfully checked the CanCon requirement here to be live on the internet. Thanks again to Oren for joining us to talk about his book. I really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good NBA books out right now. There's almost too many. I got all these games to watch. How am I supposed to read all these books? But thanks to him. Thanks to everybody joining us live. Hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure you do that. Podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. Don't do it for me. Do it for Oren. All right, let's get into last night's NBA action. I got 5 notes, I guess, JD, from all that went down. It was a busy night. 12 games on. My God. First note, though, is injuries. So we got a few to talk about here. Bradley Beal, first off, he had a fracture in his left hip. He's undergoing season-ending surgery. He's out for the year. Bradley Beal, just done. Just like that, Lawrence Frank, the Clippers' president of basketball operations, said this is a very, very fluky injury. And people were like trying to find when it happened. And I mean, you see it when you think it occurred, and it's like, what? He fractured his hip. It's like, holy crap, we are getting old, aren't we, Clippers?
That's me getting out of bed every
I
morning.
know. So he's gone for the year. This is a bad start to the Clippers season here, as they've had their injuries and guys out, and now Beal's got. It's not like Beal was playing well, So maybe him being gone, the team can get back to playing a little more defense. We'll see. But Beal's gone. In another game last night, a couple injuries between the Magic and Knicks. So Paolo Banchero, he strained his left groin on his 23rd birthday. And he's going to miss the second half, or he missed the second half of the game. We'll see what the actual diagnosis is, how severe it is. But that would suck to do it on your birthday. Jay, you ever got injured on your birthday?
Every birthday I get injured.
You get a headache.
I get a headache. I feel like I've had a groin injury on my birthday.
Yeah, you have, buddy. Yeah, you have.
Damn straight.
What were you, 16, 17? You dirty dog. So he leaves with a strained left groin. And then at the end, Jalen Brunson, he injured his right ankle on a drive to the basket. There's like 2 minutes to go in this game. And he was seen by multiple reporters leaving Madison Square Garden in a walking boot and using crutches. And this was the same ankle Brunson sprained last season. He missed 15 games. Then he came back in the playoffs, and it looked like he sometimes would like damage it again, but he sort of like powered through that. So this sucks. Again, if this is true that it's like severe enough that he's got the walking boot and the crutches, you gotta assume he's gonna miss some time with an ankle that's already been buggered. But Magic beat the Knicks, gave them their first home loss of the season, 124-107. So Magic are maybe starting to turn it around. Desmond Bane is, at least. He had the game winner. He had a good game last night. Franz Wagner had a good game. So they go into Madison Square Garden and get the W. But all these guys getting injured. Hopefully it's nothing too serious with Brunson, because that's a different team when he's not out there. That guy. And he had a great game. And I know I saw some people saying, whoa, where's all the hate for Mike Brown? There's 2 minutes left to go. They're down like 15 or 16. Why is Brunson in there? Why is he playing? Why is he even attacking to then step on a foot to roll an ankle? If this was Tom Thibodeau, you guys would be going nuts. Maybe some truth to that. For sure, if it was Tim's, we would be like, what are you doing? But again, we'll wait to see with both of those injuries. Also of note, John Morant didn't play last night versus the Celtics. They say it was an ankle. Okay. Keeping our eye on that, as John Morant has struggled all season long.
Ankle watch.
Yeah, I think more it's he didn't play because of his pride, maybe. Yeah, or something else is going on. We'll see. All right, number 4 on the list here. Shorthanded Cavs rally to beat the Heat 130-116. We had two teams coming in. I think they were both 7-4. The Cavaliers stopped Miami's 4-game win streak without their starting backcourt. There was no Darius Garland. He's got a re-aggravated toe issue. No Donovan Mitchell in this one. Mobley didn't play in this one either. Now, Bam didn't play for the Heat. Tyler Hero, of course, been out all season. So this was missing a lot of guys. So Jared Allen is the star. He goes out, puts up 30 points, 10 boards. I had to look. When was the last time Jared Allen scored 30 points in a game? He didn't do it at all last season. He did it a couple times the year prior to that. So it's been a while. 30 and 10 for Jared Allen, spinning his way to baskets. Hunter added 21. Lonzo Ball, getting the start, 15 points, 8 assists. And Craig Porter Jr., 19 points, 9 assists, 4 blocks. Really good coming off the bench for Cleveland. So the Cavs continue to have the Heat's number, really. They've beaten them a lot, despite the Heat beating them in overtime recently, earlier this week, I think, on Monday with the Wiggins game winner. That was a 140-138. Rare, I guess, Heat win over the Cavs. Generally, the Cavs have their number, but I was missing a lot of guys. But Jared Allen, good game. Good game for the big guy with the fro. I wonder if he scrubbed his feet in the shower after last night's game.
Wait, he said he doesn't, or he does?
He said
it's too far.
He said, he's like, what do you want me to do? Have a sore back or clean bottom of my feet?
I mean,
I guess if I'm picking, I'd rather have dirty bottom of my feet than a sore back.
Yeah.
If I was 7 feet tall, especially.
Yeah. I mean,
why do they pay people to clean the bottom of their feet?
Right? Like put a little like scrubby in the a mat of some sort.
It's like they do on the court to get the stickiness on their shoes.
Why not?
Just have like the clean version of that in the shower. Ooh. Somebody implement that.
Yeah.
Number 3 on our list, the Thunder roll past the Lakers, improve to 12-1. There are levels to this winning thing, man. Holy crap. OKC blew out one of its top, I guess, Western Conference rivals for the second straight game. They beat the Warriors 126-102 on Tuesday night, and then they crushed the Lakers last night. This game was over. I would say it was over in about 16 minutes. Maybe a little bit more.
Okay, Grish.
Oh, man. No, Grish... If Grish turned this one off last night, he was right. It was a dominant first quarter, but it was like a 12-point lead or whatever. It was like, okay, that's nothing. But then the second quarter was a beatdown. I think it was a 40-20 quarter for OKC. And like it was just amazing. It was so bad that the NBA YouTube page put out the compilation titled OKC's best defensive plays from their win versus the Lakers. Because they were like, oh my God, what are we even going to show from this game? I guess just show all these huge blocks, steals, stuff like that. So yeah, like Chet Holmgren blocking Ayton at the rim. You had AJ Mitchell locking up Austin Reeves on a drive attempt and coming up with the loose ball. You had Caruso poking the ball away from Austin Reeves again. It was a bad game for Austin Reeves. Bad game for Luka too. 19 points, 7 of 20 shooting. And you're going to go, oh, well, I guess Dort shut him down. They didn't even have Dort. This team is so good. They haven't had J-Dub all year. It doesn't matter. They're 12-1. They don't have Dort in this game. It doesn't matter. Next guy, throw them on Luka or throw them on Austin Reeves. Take away their 2 offensive guys. Amazing. This team, I can't believe I took the under like an idiot. Why would I doubt a team with SGA as its leader? Why? Why would I do that? Stupid, JD.
Self-hating Canadian, I guess.
Just like I actually said on the show, I'm like, I don't know. You win a championship, you're probably gonna like scale back on your defensive intensity.
Yeah.
They have a defensive rating right now of 103.0. That's significantly better than last year's defense. That's how elite it is. So they haven't missed a beat. They just rotate guys in. They have these quarters where they run the team out of the gym, usually because of their defense turning into offense. They couldn't hit threes to save their life to start the season. Now those are going down. Pretty good consistency. I'm sorry to the OKC fans. Why did I take the under 62?
You were in a mood that day, I think.
Was it?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. When did we do that show? Was it after the Jays lost?
No. This is preseason.
That was preseason.
This is preseason.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I was... If that line was 67.5, then I feel better taking the under. But it was like pretty low now that I think about it. That was stupid. I missed on that one. All right. Number 2 on our list from last night, Steph Curry, 46 points, leading the Warriors to the 125-120 victory over the Spurs. I wrote in my notes, Steph Curry must like Taco Bell because he was eating on that Spurs Fiesta court. That court looked even better in like game action. We saw photos of it. It's one thing you see photos, but then you get the real lights on it and you get players out there moving on it and you get the camera angles. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I brought up that. You got to go check out the latest short we just dropped this morning. JD's son cooking on that one.
Yeah, I had to search his room for...
You think he might be partaking?
When you watch the short, you might think, this kid's on something.
He's on a heater is what he's on, man, with these shorts. Kid's creative. He might be more creative than you. Dare I say it?
Well, to say it, because it's true.
Shout out to Jackson for doing these. Yeah, anyway, a lot of fun with the short. We're talking about the court, how it's got Taco Bell vibes, and then it spirals it goes in a direction you don't really see coming. And people are a little confused. But anyway, it's very funny. But back to Curry, 46 points, like I said, helped the Warriors get sort of like... I don't know, like a much needed, I guess is a good way to put it. They were reeling a little bit. They're on this road trip. You know, you got Draymond pointing fingers at people and Curry's like, it's all right. I got us here. He had an awesome third quarter. He started slowly from 3, but he started feeling himself in the third quarter. The 3 started going. Then he just decided, I'm going to turn into Tim Duncan here for a couple of possessions. He just kept banking shots left and right, probably because they were playing on the Spurs court. But his 46 helped overcome the triple doubles from Wembanyama and Castle, and big Jimmy Butler game. Draymond good defensively, all this, but it was sort of cool. I'm watching this going like, wow, this really is like not the past, I guess still the present, but sort of the past with the dynastic Warriors, the most of their players still there, and then the future with Wemby and Castle. It's like, whoa, this is wild because the game was entertaining. Court looked great. Curry. Not even a throwback performance, just one of these classic reminders. Like, oh, yeah. You watch these Curry games, and you're like, every once in a while, you're like, yeah, I could still see them if he's healthy, beating a lot of teams in postseason basketball. So that was really, really fun. Go check the highlights if you didn't watch that one. But number 1 on our list, this guy, man. Jokic puts up 55 points in the Nuggets' rout of the Clippers. Jokic tied the highest scoring performance in the NBA this season with those 55 points. They won 130-116, sixth straight victory for the Nuggets. Now, this one's of note here, the 55 from Jokic, because it's the first time he scored 50-plus in a game that came in a win. We've talked about this before. Any game he ever had, I think including the playoffs, if he scored over 50, they lost. And that was why everybody's like, make him a scorer. Just make him a scorer. He wants to pass. They never win when he has to go for 50-plus because he doesn't want to, and then he's got to, and maybe you have a better chance to beat them. They were previously 0-4, but this one, they got it done. He had 52 points in 3 quarters. Okay? He outscored the Clippers starting 5 by himself. And he came back in with like 6 minutes to go. And David Adelman he had to play like the whole like zero disrespect to the Clippers. We had to put him back in because they were making a run. And, he's our best player, obviously, helps us break the press and all this stuff. So he scored 3 more points in the fourth quarter. But the guy basically scored 50-plus, and he did score 50-plus in 3 quarters. The guy's unreal. This is on the second night of a back-to-back, too. And he scored 25 of Denver's 39 points in the first quarter. And he said this. He had the gall to say this. I didn't open the game really good. I think I missed like 2 or 3 layups. And then he was like, and then I got it going. Yeah, okay. You had 25 points. You had most NBA players' career high he had in 1 quarter. And then said, I didn't even play that well. Holy shit. Holy shit. So Jokic scored the 3rd most points ever against the Clippers, behind only 2 people, and they're fun names. Back to the Spurs Fiesta themed court. David Robinson and his quest for the scoring title in 1994. It was the season finale. He went for 71 because he was battling Shaq. I think he was battling for the scoring title. So that was against the Clips. And then Shaquille O'Neal went for 61 points against the Clippers on his birthday in 2000. So it's pretty funny, like, both times it was like there was a real reason they were going for it.
Yeah.
David Robinson to get the scoring title, Shaq just because he's like, it's my birthday. Let's go score 60-plus. But now Jokic just did it in his sleep, it felt like. What a game. Over his last 6 games, Jokic is averaging 35.8 points, 12 boards, 11 assists, shooting 74% from the field, and 55.6 from 3. And that's what's happened here. The numbers have gone up since the start of the season because he's now hitting threes. It was one of those weird things. He was just like, couldn't hit a 3 to start. Now he's like, I think last night, 5 of 6 from deep. Guy's on fire.
In defense of Jokic, focusing on the negative, I do that.
Yeah.
I gotta have a stellar whatever pickleball game, but in my head, it's those easy dinks that I miss, right? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all our harshest critic.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why you're Jokic like.
Yeah.
That's what separates the good from the great. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it's like, come on, man. Just say, like, I just kicked the shit out of that team. Right. They have no chance against me. This is against a good defender in Zubats, too.
Yeah.
No, he's too humble. He's humble like a horse. I don't know if that's a saying. I don't think it is.
Horses don't strike me as humble.
They're not humble. That's why I don't like them.
Too proud.
They're very proud. Other action just quickly last night. LaMelo-less Hornets beat the Giannis-less Bucks. So, not a lot of takeaways from that one, but Hornets got the win. Monster game from B-Ball Paul in another Pistons win. A lot of guys were sitting in the Bulls-Pistons game, but B-Ball Paul comes in there. That team's on fire. He filled up the box score. If you had him in your fantasy basketball team or in one of your drafts last night, you're winning. Rockets beat the Wiz. They still have the number 1 offense in the league over Denver and New York. Keeping our eye on that. Denny Avdia, Shaedon Sharpe, good old Canadian boy, Sharpe right there. Both had efficient 30-point nights plus against the Pelicans, though Derek Queen had a good game. Blazers win. I like that because Blazers are beating these bad teams. That's great. And then the Hawks punked the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, oh my God. I turned to Ghostface Ziller, a noted Kings fan, awesome newsletter. I allude to it all the time, or I bring it up all the time. Ziller wrote today, quote, Sacramento has a strong case as the worst team in the West behind the Pelicans and Mavericks. Poorly built, poorly coached, currently starting 2 players over the age of 35. It's not, I was going to say the Kings have lost Ziller, but Ziller's, outside of a few seasons, he's been there, done that with this Kings team, but this is really bad when he's saying, we might be worse than these other teams that are at the bottom. He might be right. He probably is right. What happens here? Does Doug Christie get fired? What is the move? They say they're going to blow up this team. Christie is even saying like, buckle up. We're going to try and trade all these guys as they probably should a year ago. Bad vibes. Bad vibes. We'll probably, I know we will. Tomorrow when Trey's back for the Drop podcast, we're going to do our all washed teams. We're going to draft them. Bet your ass there's going to be some Sacramento Kings players in the mix. We're going to have age divisions for what we do tomorrow. So we'll have some fun on the drop. But that's last night's action.
Is the beam still a thing?
I mean, it's still a thing, but you have to win to press it.
Yeah. Remember how excited we were about the beam?
Oh God, I bought it hook, line, and sinker, man. I was the biggest Kings fan in the world for like 2 years there.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
It's crazy. It is such a poorly built team, and I mean they are getting destroyed. They lost by like 30 plus at home to a fine Hawks team, but like not a juggernaut by any means. Bad. All right, pick 'em last night. This is, I guess, the only other game we didn't talk about was the Mavericks losing to the Suns, and that's of note because TAS is still winless. Even myself and Trey yesterday were like, you're probably going to win that. Nico Harrison gone. His Suns are good, but Mavs maybe get one. They're favored. Vegas had them favored. No, Suns win. They stay good enough to beat sort of the bad teams. I love seeing that too because I had their over in the preseason. But TAS is 0-8. He hasn't won a game here.
Have we ever seen this?
We have never seen this. Never. I don't know if anyone's ever gone on this long a streak in the 20 years of basically doing this. It's impressive. Now, he said I guess we were on Substack, and it was inspired by John Schumann, because Schumann keeps saying, if TAS shoots the moon, then you guys should also have to do goatees. Trey and I.
Okay, I don't hate that.
I don't mind it either. There's no possible way that happens. Like, I need somebody that's smarter than I to like run the numbers.
The odds,
odds are like astronomical, I would say, for TAS to pick in a very long month of November. We're going to get up to probably we're halfway through. Yeah, we're going to at least 15 plus.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way he can do it. I want to see it. And I said I'll do it. If you go over for the month of November, I'll happily do goatee.
Yeah. This is the problem with this. The punishment is TAS would probably look the best with. He's going to look normal with the goatee. You and Trey will look hilarious.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true.
You want TAS to do the unthinkable.
I want one of you guys to lose. Well, honestly, I mean, no offense.
You need TAS to just keep losing because he's 6 games back, which is quite a lot here in Pick'em. Anyway, let's get to tonight's game. Toronto at Cleveland. TAS picked this game, just so everyone knows, and he took the Cavaliers. They're favored by 7.5.
7.5.
So we get that must mean some of those guys that sat out are coming back tonight. Yeah. Trey's backing TAS though. It's a choice.
Yeah, why?
It worries me a little bit. Worries me. I'll take the Raps to cover. I got a lot of points to play with. It could be totally fine. They already beat them in the Cup game last Friday. So, yeah, I was a little shocked to see Trey not continuing our run here where him and I just pick the opposite of what TAS picks because it keeps working. But anyway, Cavs by 7.5. So Cleveland's got to win by 8. Plus for TAS to stop his streak. I really want it to continue too.
Yeah, me too.
I want FanDuel to turn this into something though. Like this is the ultimate fade right now. It should be plastered all over their website. A photo of TAS. Like pick the opposite of this guy.
Yeah.
Like well, come on. All right, that's today's show, excuse me. Thanks again to Oren Weisfeld for coming on, talking about the book and talking about Canada basketball, talking a little Raps there. We'll be back tomorrow. Trey will be here with myself and JD. TAS is actually back in Canada for a quick little trip. He's going to see John Legend, is he not?
That's exactly
with him and Danielle and some friends of ours?
Yep.
I think
Fallsview Casino?
I was going to say it's in Niagara Falls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think Chrissy's there?
Oh, it's 100%.
Doesn't Chrissy Teigen follow Tass online? She did.
Yeah, she does.
Or they, I don't know, they talked at one point. This is like an eternity ago now.
Yeah. Yeah, she's probably there.
But
why would you pass up the falls?
I guess so. Okay, am I crazy or the last time Tass went to see John Legend, he was disappointed?
He was
in the
disappointed.
crowd.
In the crowd.
The crowd was like everybody's sitting in their seats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hey, if you're going to the show, I guess tomorrow night in the Falls to see John Legend, bring it for our guy Tassie.
I think he's fine. Did he not see him in Vegas?
I don't know. This guy, he loves John Legend.
He's
He
like
really does. He's a great performer.
a ledge head.
He's a ledge head. Trey's a deadhead and Tass is a ledge head. It's fantastic.
Follows him around. He's got a little VW bus. That's how he got there.
We should literally send Tass on a John Legend tour. The content we would get would be amazing.
Let's do it.
But anyway, that's why Tass won't be here tomorrow, but TK will be back. TK will also be here for No Buffs coming up later today, recapping episode 8. Hey, some stuff happened.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
it was fine.
Fine.
It's getting better. Good time to get in.
Great time to get in.
No Buffs on YouTube feed, on podcast feed. Yeah, we'll be talking with Nora. Nora's back for that one too.
Nice.
So that's at 1 p.m. Eastern over on No Buffs YouTube channel. Obviously flipped into a podcast, so make sure you go subscribe to that, listen to that if you're a Survivor fan, or if you're just a fan of us.
Yeah.
We bring a lot of hot takes.
True.
I know Nora is pretty fired up about the episode.
Okay, good.
Not the biggest fan.
Ooh,
Yeah, I would
okay.
say. But also, she started her morning by listening to Jeff Probst's his podcast.
Okay.
And she's like got her AirPods in, and she's just like, "Oh, stupid! Oh, Jesus, shut up already!" I guess Jeff was really irritating her this morning.
Yeah, he must be shining it up. Like, just,
She just said he didn't like Jeremy Collins is on it, and
Yeah.
she's like he wouldn't stop talking for
Yeah.
like 20 minutes.
That's kind of his thing.
I know. So we'll find out Nora's thoughts on episode 8 and the Jeff Probst podcast. But until then, Clipper Bros.
Here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
So quiet, Clipper Bro.
Yeah, I got my routing is all mixed up.
Your routing's all mixed up.
Every time we have a guest, it's weird.
Yeah, got concerned there for a hot minute.
Oh, the Canadian internet strikes again.
Yeah.
Every time, our new policy, if we have somebody on from Canada, they got to tether to their phones. That's it. That's how it worked for you, remember?
Yeah, you're right. And this is a problem, especially in Toronto.
It doesn't matter what Bell, Rogers, doesn't
No,
matter.
it doesn't matter. They're in cahoots, man.
Yep.
They are. Yeah, we started with some CanCon, we're ending with some CanCon. All right, embrace the day, people.